I'm Kaylee and this is Marion, and today we're going to be talking about giving goats injections. First thing you need to do is get your syringes and your needles. Depending on what drug you're using, how the amount that you're going to have to give your goat, you'll need to have a size of syringe for that dosage. The syringes go down to 1 cc, which I use for the babies if I need to give them vitamin A and D or BOCI, and up to a couple hundred. Well, we don't need those ones. But I have 1 cc, 3 cc, 6 cc, and 12 cc. And the 12 cc are what I generally use for vitamin B complex and penicillin, which I'm going to be giving her today, because the dosage is 8 on both of them. And I like the lure lock tips. As you can see, it's got some threads in there, and the needle threads right on. It just makes it easier. When you're pulling off the cap, you're not going to pull the whole needle off. And it also makes it, when the goat's jumping around, sometimes the needle will pop off. And we don't want that happening, so this works best. I use 20 gauge 1-inch needles, and I buy them in packs of 100 from Jeffers. I get my syringes from there too. Let's see if it says, yes it does. Can you read that? 20 gauge 1-inch. I have used 22 gauge and I've used 18 gauge. 22 gauge is pretty much worthless for most drugs because they're too thick to go through. And 18 gauge, I just don't like the amount of pressure it takes to get one of those in. On goats, I use those on horses more. I don't like using them on goats. I've used 1/2-inch needles on kids, but I don't like those because their hair is so long, or even newborn kids, that it's hard to get the needle in. So I use 20 gauge 1-inch. And some people recommend the 18 gauge for really thick drugs like LA200, and that would be useful, but I just don't like using them. I just depress the plunger slowly when I'm giving LA200 because it can't go through this syringe very fast. Another thing you need to do is know your drugs. Penicillin needs to be kept in the fridge, and it also tends to separate, so you gotta shake it up good before you use it. And if you were storing these if you were storing your stuff in the barn, which I don't recommend because it's temperature sensitive, you would need to alcohol swab the top before you dry your stuff out. But because I stored it in the house, I just brought it out here for this demonstration. I won't be doing that. Well, I generally hold this in my mouth, but I'm not going to be able to talk if I do that. So what you want to do is you want to fill a syringe with air up till the dosage that you're going to give, and I'm going to give 8 cc's. And then you're going to hold the bottle upside down, put it in, inject the air, and then just slowly draw out the liquid. Penicillin's pretty thick too, so it takes a little bit to get the penicillin out. Now it looks like it's full, the syringe, but it's not. Once I release the plunger, it's just going to bounce back until we get it all out. Okay, it's a little more than 8, but that's pretty good. So, cap the syringe again until I'm ready to use it. And another thing about medications that you store in the fridge, you want to warm them up. You don't have to, but they flow easier and it hurts the goat less. So what I do is I draw this up in the house and then carry it out in my fist like this, and it warms up really fast. You can shake it a little bit, mix it up, but it only takes a couple minutes to warm up. There are several different kinds of shots to give goats. The first one is sub-Q or subcutaneous, where you pinch up and inject the drug underneath their skin. The second is IM, and I like to use the neck for this. I just use it right here. If I'm giving them an injection every day, or if I'm giving them more than one, I'll alternate sides of the neck. Actually, for this video I won't, because I did give it yesterday here, but I can't give it on the other side and still have you see it, so I'm going to be giving it on this side again. You can see why she's in here. Her ear got ripped off, poor girl. It doesn't seem to hurt her though. Anyway, most medications can be given sub-Q, anything except hormones. However, I prefer to give most of them IM because they absorb faster if you do. Just beware if you have meat animals, it does leave a scarring in the meat. Well, besides you have the withdrawal time, but it does leave a scarring in the meat if you do IM. But it absorbs into the body faster if you do IM. Another one is IV, which I won't be doing, and which I've never done. That should be left to your vet, is where you put it in the vein. And one last one, and I'm not sure what the term is for it, but it's where you infuse antibiotics or different things into the udder if a doe has mastitis. And you don't use a needle for that, you use a special cannula. So, this is warmed up pretty good here. Oh, and also, do not give IM shots back here. Or at least I do not recommend it. I did it for a long time and was fine. But there is a big nerve that runs down here somewhere, and if you hit it, it'll paralyze your goat. I did it. She got over it in a week or so, but that scared me. The neck is good enough. No sense doing it anywhere else. Sub-Q is generally given. I generally give it right here or over the rib cage. Other people prefer to give it down here in the armpit because there's a lot of loose skin down there. But wherever you want is fine. So when you're ready to give the shot, take off the cap. Set it somewhere, or I hold it in my mouth. And then you just want to put it in. If you're giving IM shots, you have to pull back to make sure you're not in a vein. And you can't see this on the camera, but a little bubble appears right here, so we're good. If it was red, that'd be blood, and we'd have to pull out and start over. So just inject slowly, because penicillin's pretty thick, so you don't want to try injecting it too fast. And that's that for the IM. Another thing about penicillin is sometimes it clogs up the syringe. So a lot of people, or the needle. So a lot of people recommend drawing it up with one needle and then switching the needle before you take it to the barn so it doesn't clog up in the needle. I've had that happen a few times. What I do is I just pull off the cap and press the plunger a little bit till that little chunk comes out and then immediately give the shot. So if the drug, like penicillin, is refusing to go when you put it in there, you want to withdraw and press the plunger like I said and get that clog out of the needle before you try again. If you do happen to get drugs in the vein, they may have seizures or they may die, depending on what the drug is. We accidentally gave penicillin into the vein of a cow before. She had a seizure and collapsed. And we basically, as soon as we released the head stanchion, she was done with her seizure. It was only like 3 seconds. And she just laid there for a while and collected herself and then got back up. But it was scary. So beware of that. You don't want them getting into the vein. You also have to beware of anaphylactic shock. I've never had any experience with that, but that's just something to keep in mind. If you can keep epinephrine on hand, that would be a safety measure. And if you have a big amount of drugs you need to give to your goat, so say I give 8 cc's of penicillin, if I needed to give more than that for whatever reason, you wouldn't want to put it all in one site. You wouldn't want to put more than 10 in one site. You'd want to move it to somewhere else. And a lot of times what people will do is just move it, just a little bit to the side, and that's good enough, but just all in one site, that's a lot, and it's not recommended. Normal reactions to drugs can be crying, limping, wanting to scratch at it. Different drugs are really painful, like LA200 is very painful. Ivermectin injectable is, but they'll be fine. It just hurts for a little while, so don't overreact about that. They'll be okay. Chances are they are the ones overreacting, because I don't think it really hurts that bad. As I said, cold drugs will hurt worse too, so if you can warm up, that'll be nicer for them. I just wanted to show you the difference here and how easy this B complex is to draw up. It draws up as fast as I can pull the syringe back. So, a little easier than penicillin. So now we'll go for the sub-Q shot. And you don't have to pull back for this one, because there's no nerves, there's no veins directly under the skin. So just lift up a tent, find where that skin is, put your needle in, you can release the tent. Just hope that you're all the way in. When they have a lot of hair, it's hard to tell. Because sometimes if you can poke right out the other side of the tent, so then it'll just come back out, but it didn't. And for Sub-Q shots, you want to rub them a little bit to disperse them under the skin. If you're giving a CD&T vaccination, you want to rub them a lot. Say I give it right here, or no, I'll go up. Say I give a CD&T injection right here. You want to rub it like this for like a full minute, because if you don't, you're going to get a big nasty lump there. I don't use CD&T anymore because I got sick of those lumps. But that rubbing that hard and for about a minute did help. I think it pretty much eliminated them, but I just got sick of giving it to him. I just give him tetanus toxoid now, but if you can just rub it just pretty gently and smooth it out. One thing I've had happen with sub-Q shots, and I'll insert a picture here, is I didn't quite get the LA200 all the way under the skin. It kind of got between the layers, and it created the big sore that you see in the picture. And she was okay, and they were nasty sores, but I just watched it and sprayed Fight Back on it every day, and it healed up just fine. That's just something that might happen, but it's no big deal. So thanks to Marion for being our good demo, and sorry that your ear is gone, girly, but you should be fine.